Good morning, everybody. My name is Liz Nixon, and I'm the Director of Emerging and Social Media Marketing at AT&T, and I'm going to share a quick case study on a program called Snapper Hero, the People's Superhero. There's an expression that it takes 1,000 voices to tell a single story, and really, that's what modern branded content is. It's harnessing the 1,000 voices of social media to co-create and tell your brand's story with you. But before I tell you about Snapper Hero, I'd like to share with you a program that inspired Snapper Hero. At AT&T, we're in our 3rd season of a show called Summer Break. We like to think of it as a reality show for the YouTube generation. And unlike other reality shows, this doesn't play out on TV. It plays out on Twitter, Snapchat, We Heart It, Periscope, and other channels. And we're so excited about the success that we've had to date. Over 2 seasons, we've driven over 60 million views, 1.5 billion impressions, and 30 million engagements. But as I mentioned, 2 things from our program Summer Break actually inspired us to create Snapper Hero. The first thing was during our 2nd season of Summer Break, we launched our Snapchat handle. And we saw something amazing. Over 700,000 engagements every week. But it wasn't just the volume of engagements that really blew our mind, it was the type of engagement. Really intimate, one-to-one connections with our fans that made us feel like we were breaking down that wall, but making them part of the storytelling experience. The second thing that we saw, and we continue to see, is the power of online creators and influencers in helping to drive awareness and engagement around our new branded content properties. So these 2 things got us to thinking. What if we were to harness the principles of zero distancing on Snapchat, bringing our community into the storytelling process, and the power of online creators and influencers in helping to drive engagement and awareness around new branded content properties? Snapper Hero. But before I tell you more about Snapper Hero, I'm going to play a quick video.
Fucking superb, y'all.
Hey! That's my fault! It's going to be so dope.
Back, come back. Yes, I'm the most powerful man in the world! You want to see something really cool?
Cool. All right, but you're still probably asking yourselves, what exactly is Snapper Hero? So I'm going to walk you through what it is, the role of AT&T, how we made it, and some quick results. So first, Snapper Hero is a scripted superhero series that we created exclusively for the Snapchat platform. It aired 3 episodes a week, 2 to 3 minutes in length, and the program lasted 8 weeks. About 4 of those weeks were actually episodes. And finally, and most importantly, it starred 7 of the web's top influencers. Influencers like Just Rain, Dash Dobro, Anna Akana, Freddie Wong, Harley Morenstein, huge influencer and online creator talent. And because it starred those influencers, it also starred their fans and brought those, their fans into our branded content experience. But it also starred AT&T. And at AT&T, it's so important that we're seen as more than just a sponsor, we're more than just a logo slap. We're doing these branded content experiences to be seen as creators and contributors to these communities in our own right. And we do that in 3 ways. First, we work on a native and authentic branding that really feels like it's part of the platform. And you saw it at the end of the video. It was that hand-drawn UGC feeling thanks to AT&T logo, and we use that throughout all of the episodes and content. The second thing we do is work on a series of passive and active brand and product integrations. For example, each of the cast members was outfitted with the latest and greatest AT&T devices. In the case of this program, we use the Samsung Note 4 because it has stylus for doodling. An example of an active product integration, each of the cast members received their superpower via text message. And finally, and most importantly, we want to give back to the community. We want there to be some reciprocity in terms of the storytelling and the way that we're including fans in the community. So we work on a series of fun, lightweight engagements to make them feel like they're part of this story. One example of this was we asked our fans to snap us their photo, and then we had the team of artists working on the series hand draw each of them into superheroes as you can see examples up on the screen. And fans love this type of thing. They love to be celebrated, and they love to be part of these types of activities. The process for making Snapper Hero was a little bit different too. It all started with something we called a Snap Pack in LA. We brought together the show's producers, Corridor Digital, who are doing some of the web's most incredible special effects, Fullscreen, one of the creators of the show with us, and our influencer agency, the social media team, and of course AT&T. And we sat down and we figured out, what would the look and feel of the show be? How long should episodes be? When should they publish? And once we had those foundational elements established, we knew the next most important thing we had to do was to grow and activate a fan base. Remember, my episodes were going to disappear within 24 hours, so I couldn't wait and hope that people would show up mid-season. I had to ensure that I had a large and active fan base for episode 1, and we did that in 2 ways. First, we had 7 of the web's top influencers, so we had them reach out to their fans in a call to action. Follow Snapper Hero, I'm doing a new project, I want you to be part of this with me. And it wasn't just a follower growth strategy, we also asked them to ask their fans to help us write the Snapper Hero story. So Simone Shepard might reach out to her fans and say, what kind of should I be a superhero or should I be a villain? And Dash Dobro might reach out and say, what type of a costume should I wear? And we used all of those inputs from fans to actually write the Snapper Hero story in the months leading up to our first episode. The other thing that we did is 4 weeks before we launched a single episode, we started a calendar of lightweight fan engagements, ways to encourage people to keep coming back to the Snapchat handle. Again, we needed to establish that repeat behavior so that when we started to air episodes, fans would be there. One example of a fun activation that we did was we noticed that whenever we published content with pets, it was some of our most screenshotted content. So we asked fans to snap us pictures of their pets as superheroes. It's a good example of Superdog. And after 8 weeks, we're so excited about the success we've had with this program. Over 3.2 million views, 186,000 followers, 146 million impressions, and a 73% completion rate on episodes. So a couple quick takeaways based on our experience with Snapper Hero. The first thing is to co-create something influencers love. When you're working with influencers, remember that they're not actors, they are creators, and that you want this to be a shared passion product for both you and for them. Finding something where the mindset and the objectives align to ensure that collaboration and promotion that's so critical to having something like this succeed is part of it from the core. The second thing is really to think about how to grow and activate your fan base before launch. And this is probably more specific to series-based content like the one I just shared with you. But you wouldn't launch a movie without a trailer and a PR strategy and a seeding strategy. And that same type of growth strategy is recommended, especially when it comes to series-based content. And finally, and this is really just a takeaway that we've had based on both the success with Summer Break and Snapper Hero, and I think this is really driven by the fact that we're a mobile brand, so therefore we are a connector, that we want to invest in community-driven storytelling. None of us are doing this because we want to post videos online, it's because we want brand advocates, we want customers. And to get that emotional connection, it's really about community and emotion. And that's really what we believe the opportunity is. Thank you.
Gonna come on. Cool, that was really interesting. So, what are the advantages of working with influencers? I mean, are you doing more of that? I mean, some of these social media influencers are building up gigantic fan bases. Not only gigantic fan bases, but like they're able to actually motivate people to act.
Yeah, huge. I mean, we would see huge spikes in our viewership on days where we had an influencer activation. And it's something that we work with a lot, in particular with Fullscreen, who's our agency when it comes to, in this capacity, to working with influencers. I think some of the biggest learnings we've had is that maybe there's a misconception that because they exist, it'll be faster to work with influencers, and that's definitely not true. Like, you need to spend the amount of time in the briefing process and the collaboration process early on to ensure a successful program. And certainly that kind of like shared mindset in terms of you need it to be a passion project for both parties. They're not actors, and they're not interested in just kind of regurgitating an ad campaign.
So yeah, is that the big difference in working with an influencer versus just doing a media buy?
Yeah.
Is talent,
Yep.
and
they are talented, but they are not talent.
Okay. So Snapchat. Are you going to be doing more on Snapchat? What do you think the big opportunity is there, and what does Snapchat need to do better as far as metrics or infrastructure?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's definitely, we would love to see some enhanced metrics, but I think that that's a reality of any new platform, and we need to recognize that it's still a relatively new platform. But any way for us to be able to do some type of like tagging or survey-based studies on the channel would be really helpful. And then I think, you know, we're always interested in exploring new social media channels. We'll continue to look at Snapchat. One of the platforms that we've started using for summer break this season is called We Heart It, which I don't
Which
think
has been around for a long time.
Yeah, but you know, it was new to us and new to this program, and we have seen incredible growth. It is 6 times over what we're seeing on Tumblr.
For those who don't know it, can you explain what We Heart It is?
Sure. So We Heart It is a social media platform that's kind of a combination of Pinterest and Tumblr. It's definitely more targeted to and more adopted by Gen Z audiences, and I think it's the perfect example of, for that type of a generation, visual language is how they communicate with their peers, and it is the epitome of that. So a lot of like photographs and quotes, and but also, you know, the reblogging feature is the most pervasive in terms of.
So outside of We Heart It, what is like an emerging platform that you're keeping your eye on in particular?
I think, you know, it's been interesting. For this season of summer break, our test platforms were We Heart It. We wanted to try Periscope because, kind of getting back to that zero distancing phenomenon, we're looking for ways to bring the digital into the physical, or to give our fans a feeling like they're actually getting closer to the cast. So Periscope is one that we were testing this season. And ironically, Facebook, because of its kind of the advances they've made to their video product, was something that we've only now using in the 3rd season of summer break.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Want to open it up to questions for Liz? We have a couple microphones. There's one in the back, right here.
I was just, hello, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I was just wondering, you started out with sort of a plan for owned, earned, and paid, and did you evolve it as you saw spikes? So, and how much of the team was involved in readjusting budgets if you did do that?
Yeah, we didn't use paid media for Snapper Hero, but what you're talking about in terms of that like calendaring of what content goes live when, and also thinking about the roles that different social media channels play, in particular for series-based content, is hugely critical. For summer break, for example, we don't put a lot of media weight into market until midway through the season, because what we've observed is kind of the House of Cards factor of binge watching the show. So if we can turn it on mid-season, then people have previous episodes they can go back and watch, and it's just a more efficient way for us to be promoting the content.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any others? Over here, this one. Oh, there's one over here, and then over here.
Hi, can you talk a little bit about creating the content for Snapper Hero? We're so used to creating content that we expect to have a little bit of a longer shelf life, something that disappears within 24 hours. How you sold that in internally to get that investment?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked. I think it's a really interesting thing. And you know, at AT&T, we're also big sponsors of things like March Madness and College Football Championship. And you don't really go back and watch those, but you still have a really great experience with those entertainment opportunities. And I think that's the way that we approached it. Is, you know, it doesn't, just because you don't have the ability to go back and watch it over and over again, doesn't mean that it's not a good investment from a you know, from an ROI perspective. We did do things like create a behind the scenes series that lived on YouTube, kind of a shoulder piece of content in addition to the series. And one of the main reasons we did that too is because the producers of the show are influencers in their own right. They do some incredible web-based special effects. Check them out, Corridor Digital. So we had a kind of a combination of things, and that's also a big learning, is just kind of, you need to kind of diversify.
Cool. I think we have a microphone. Jerry will be over there.
So as a service provider and looking at platforms like Google Cardboard, like where does VR kind of play into, like this would have been such an awesome campaign had I had a Oculus on.
Yeah.
Like, where do you look at that in kind of your world?
Yeah, we definitely are looking at VR for other programs. We've used it, I'd say, in kind of like smaller situations of, I think just recently at March Madness, we had just like a very small sample of people using VR goggles for a concert series that we sponsored. So it's definitely a trend that we're keeping an eye on. especially because of the cardboard feature in terms of the mobile connectivity of it all. So it's definitely something we're interested in.
Okay, cool. Liz, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay.